Did you ever give up on a dream? Or did you ever have that dream, but it's just like, I'm running in molasses with this dream? Yeah, we've got that going for us. We want to have that significant impact. And so what we're going to talk about today is having a story, a significant story of perseverance and endurance. If you're in this community, you have gotten knocked down, gotten up, gotten knocked down, gotten up, and you've done it so many times because you're here. You're here right now. You've got a story of persistence and endurance. And today we're going to help shape what that story is. And I want to start this out. If you would, just write down maybe what your story is. Think about what yours might be as I go through mine. First of all, many people don't know this. People just assume that when I take a Myers-Briggs or something like that, I'm an extrovert off the scale. And in some ways, when I take the test, I am in some ways. But here's the thing. I grew up incredibly shy. I like to get on stage and say, do you remember that kid that was really shy in grade school and high school? And people go like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, you don't, unless you were that kid. Why? Because I know for me, I had a thing about being invisible. I would walk down the halls and people would bump me in my high school because they didn't see me. And I pulled in, I called it invisible strength. I had this invisible strength that people couldn't see, but they didn't know it. In a sense, that's my superpower too, because I lived through that. I was so shy, so shy. And then just a little bit of my story, I went to a college prep high school. And when I was there, it was rated number 7 in the country for academics. It was super, super, super competitive. We got, every quarter we were graded, in each class on a scale of, A+ and B- and all that kind of stuff. But each one was given a grade point average. And then we were given at every quarter a GPA score to 4 significant digits. I was a 95.3652. And you got that score, and then the other thing you got was your rank. I was ranked number 7 out of 286 for so many years through my high school life. And so what does that do? It creates like, who's number 6? How can I get him? How can I beat him? And I remember his name was Dave. Dave was number 6 and I was number 7. And then that last quarter of my senior year, I was ranked number 6 cumulative overall. Boom, I took Dave down. It's so good, I guess. But I was so competitive, and I was ranked number 6 of 285 kids of the number 7 school in the nation. So theoretically, I was one of the top 50 students in the country. The problem is, folks, is that I wasn't very smart, test smart. My SAT scores weren't that great because I worked hard, really hard. I did all-nighters in high school because I wasn't one of those naturally bright kids. I knew who they were. The kids played football, they got B's, and then they got like really high scores on SAT and got scholarships to Stanford and Yale and Harvard. And I didn't get any scholarships. I got a half-year scholarship to my local university. So at that point in my life, I said, you know what? I gotta do something different. I was so shy that I couldn't talk to girls. I couldn't socialize at all. So when I went to college, I had 2 goals my freshman year. One, I was going to learn how to drink beer. And secondly, I was going to learn how to talk to the prettiest girl in the room. And I get a lot of high fives. Oh, that's so good, Patrick. It's like, oh, wait a minute. This is a story of persistence and endurance. Because I remember going into those fraternity parties and going down near that keg of beer. And then I'd get 2 beers out because I'd spot the prettiest girl in the room. And I'd walk over to that girl. And I could see her friends closing me off because, oh, that nerd is coming up. Here, protect me from that guy. Don't have him talk to me. And then I'd kind of, turn around at the first and then I'd keep going. And I went to party after party after party, getting the rejections and the rejections and the rejections, crying myself to sleep at night. Oh my gosh, bringing that up. Crying myself to sleep at nights. but then the next weekend, waking up again, going to the fraternity parties, and just getting that courage up to overcome those barriers, to get that energy I needed to go in there. And I got better at it and better at it and better at it. By the end of the 1 month into the second semester, I could talk to the prettiest girl in the room. And it was a conversation. I wasn't like drooling out the side of my mouth or stumbling around with my words. I learned how to do that. In some senses, I kind of think about it, I changed my personality from being shy and introvert to extrovert. And I've worked on that my whole life since then, of being able to talk to people. And I've been on stages internationally. I've done national sales meetings, global sales meetings. And people go like, oh, you're so good. That just must come to you naturally. And it's like, no, you don't know my story. That's my story of significance, my significant story of persistence and endurance.